Welcome to Care Conversations with Clarity Financial Solutions, where through education, we move you from confusion to clarity on all topics touching retirement. Join us as we learn and grow from others' experience on entering into the next phase of life with peace of mind and conviction that you have a team of experts to help you, educate you, and let you know your unique retirement is upon you. So it's time to take a deep inhale, a slow exhale, and walk into this next phase of life confident and with clarity. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Care Conversations with Clarity, where today we are going to discuss long-term care. So the last couple episodes, we've been talking about Medicare, and in several of them discussed after 3 consecutive days in the hospital with a status of admitted, you're able to go to a skilled nursing facility and Medicare will pay for 100 days of rehabilitation. But you have to be getting better, and what happens after day 100? And what if it's not after a hospitalization, but it's a condition that you have just been living with and you just want to have, and you should have, an incredibly high quality of life, even though you're dealing with some health conditions that are chronic. So oftentimes you'll hear long-term care also referred to as extended care or non-acute care. So what is long-term care? Long-term care is when someone needs assistance with activities of daily living. And we're going to talk through exactly what those are. 2 of the 6 activities of daily living need to be something that you need help with in order for you to have a long-term care need as far as exercising a long-term care policy, or as far as, getting the benefit, we'll say. So we're going to talk through some things about long-term care, but I'm very passionate about it. I've watched a lot of families without a long-term care solution in place have some real tragedy around relationships, around who's going to be with mom Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm out of the country. I'm out of town. I'm working across, whatever the case may be. But what we see a lot of times is a family dealing with a crisis or, an issue that they can't do. They can't care for their loved one because they themselves have to go to work and care for a family. But that same loved one can't care for themselves by themselves. So it's a solution. It's a problem that a lot of families are struggling with. And I want to shed some light on just education. What is it? What is it not? How to crack the long-term care code, shall we say. And then next week, Alecia Barnette from Financial Independence Group. She is a brain trust when it comes to product design and education. She flies across the country and helps people understand the importance of long-term care. She's going to be on with us, and we're going to talk through some case design and also through some kind of just how she feels. What are some things that she hears a lot on her travels, right? So I'm going to pull up a little presentation to keep me on track, and we will get started. All right. So many people, when I start the conversation of long-term care, they don't want to talk about it, right? Who wants to talk about it? Not many people, because then you have to deal not only with an issue that you may not want to face, but you have to deal with your own mortality. And it's not always fun, but we're in the business of bringing those hard to talk about issues into a plan, into a financial plan, so that if and when something like we're discussing happens, you're prepared. Okay. And your family is prepared. So we need to understand the problem. We want to define long-term care. We want to talk about the solutions, and we'll talk more next episode. And then we're going to give you some examples. But here's a little quiz. So what do you think out there is the percent of Americans over 65 who are actually going to need long-term care? Okay, so that's the question. Do you think it's 3%, 8%, or 70%? Once again, percent of Americans over 65 who will need long-term care. The second question, the percent of Americans who think it is very likely they will need long-term care at some point in their life. And then the percent of Americans who have long-term care insurance. So we've got the reality, the percent of people who will. Then we've got the not reality, people who think or feel they're going to need it. And then we actually have the people who are preparing. So the first, percent of Americans over 65 who will need long-term care, 70%. Okay? 7 out of 10 people are going to need some type of long-term care in their life. That doesn't mean they're going to be in a nursing home. That doesn't mean it's going to be 5 years, 10 years of care. But at some point in their life, they're going to need some type of long-term care. Number 2, percent of Americans who think it's very likely they will need long-term care at some point in their lives. Only 8%. So 70% of people will need it statistically, and only 8% think they need it. That is a huge gap of reality, right? And then the amount of people who actually have it is 3. So if someone doesn't have a plan, if someone ends up needing long-term care, and then they don't have the assets to pay for it because they've done what's called a Medicaid spend down, guess who ends up paying for their care? You and me, friends, that through taxpayer dollars. That's called Medicaid. So if we don't start planning, we end up paying for other people anyway. So let's keep going through this. Why are people not planning for this critical issue? Well, who wants to talk about something that I can't perform activities of daily living for myself? Who wants to talk about the fact that I can't dress myself? That I have cognitive impairment? All of these things. People don't want to talk about it because it seems remote or far off. It's a false sense of security, right? They don't think they're going to need it. They think Medicare and Medicaid are going to pay for it. Huge misconception there. They don't expect they're going to need it. My family's going to take care of me. I hear that all the time. It's too expensive, right? I'll pay for it out of pocket, otherwise known as self-insuring. And then the questions about whether it's really needed. Some people will actually really question that. They're like, oh, I just don't think that's really a need. I think it's just insurance companies trying to sell stuff. Not true, friends. Not true. Okay. So expectation versus reality. 8% of people think they're going to need it. 70% of people are going to need it. So we're going to dive into the reality. I hear people say a lot of times, well, my kids will take care of me, right? Or I cared for them, they can care for me. Or I'll put on, I hear this a lot. This is a funny Southern statement, I guess, because I hear it a good bit. I'm going to fit myself with concrete boots and jump in Lake Hartwell or Lake Huey or the beach or the ocean or the pond out back, whatever. That's not a plan, friends. It's not a plan. So long-term care is a family issue, because that's who ends up having to care for the person if there isn't a plan in place. So families emotionally are significantly impacted. They have to arrange for the care. They have to take off work. They have to pay for it and thus dump into their own retirement, right? So now their retirement account goes down because they're paying for care, or they stop working, meaning they stop contributing to their own retirement because they have now quit to go help their loved one. And there's a lot of guilt, that goes on. Let's just say I don't have a good plan in place. My parents don't have care that they need, and I'm sitting at work and I'm thinking about them. It's called absent presenteeism, right? Like, so you're there physically there at work or wherever you are, but you're not there emotionally and mentally. You're fractured because you've got these concerns. Financial, right? So just what I was telling you, missed wages, lost jobs, unintended tax consequences for your estate, and then a smaller inheritance when you have drained down assets that you intended for travel and gifts and your own quality of life, and instead had to pay for care. Okay, so this is something that gets me because I'm dealing with my own personal life. But have you ever seen an 85-year-old woman or man taking care of their 87-year-old spouse? It's hard to watch because it's not safe, and it definitely is emotionally and physically harder than you can imagine. So the next topic that people say all the time, or the next thing I hear often, is whatever happens, I just don't want to be in a nursing home. Long-term care is not a nursing home. Yes, of course, people receive care in a nursing home, but long-term care can be that type of care, hourly paid care to help you with living, activities of daily living, cooking, cleaning, dressing, bathing, all of these things that can become very difficult. Those type of things can be in your home, in an assisted living, in a senior independent living place, where at a child's home where you might live. Anywhere you live is where the care is going to be taking place. So these are the actual activities of daily living. They don't change. So this is just by definition what they are: bathing, dressing, eating, transferring, toileting, incontinence, and hands-on versus standby care, meaning you have either of them can be in place. So hands-on care, meaning I have to help you physically get from place, to ambulate, to dress, to get out of the bed. My hands are on you. Or standby care. I just am helping you clean and do laundry and go grocery shopping and things that you do in life. So the activities of daily living, there they are, don't change, and they are really important to be able to get completed during the day when you're a young person, a middle-aged person, or an old person. And if you have a chronic or progressive disease where those become difficult, having the care that you need to be able to perform them at a high quality is imperative. Just like I was saying, anywhere you want to receive care, that is where long-term care can take place. So at-home care, what does that look like? Well, family and friends, support services, aides coming in, like a CNA, certified nursing assistant, medical equipment. Maybe I need a chair in the shower. Maybe I need a wheelchair. Maybe I need, in some cases, what's called a Hoyer lift. Maybe I need fill in the blank, right? Visiting doctors and nurses come to you as opposed to you having to leave the home where it could be difficult to get that same visit completed. And then case managers helping you navigate different types of services that you might be eligible for. Community-based care, so adult daycare, social support, health services, respite for caregivers. That is so important. All of these things can be considered what's called community-based care. Independent living is just a community designed for older individuals to live, yet they probably will have medicine management and meals being prepared for you, cleaning services, things of that nature. Assisted living is when, once again, you have to qualify to go to an assisted living, and basically you need assistance with 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. You're going to get more in-depth care. They're going to make sure they're going to be checking on you more in your room, but you still have an independent space in most places. A lot of social opportunities, because it's proven that if we stay social, we also live longer. So it's important. Okay, so this is the Very, very common misconception. Won't Medicare and Medicaid pay for these serious needs? I mean, of course they will. Or my veteran benefit will. Or, what a benefit someone might think they have. Counting on Medicare and Medicaid to pay for long-term care is not a plan, because it's not going to happen. Medicaid, your income limit and asset resources limit is so low that sometimes just between a pension or some other type of income that's going to continue for life, so lifetime income, plus Social Security is going to be higher than Medicaid limits. So there's no way, even if all your assets are gone, that you might qualify for Medicaid. And Medicare, like we said in the last couple episodes, is only going to provide a very small amount of rehabilitation, okay, or care at home after you have some type of hospitalization. So the next thing we're going to talk about, misconceptions about paying for long-term care. So what are misconceptions about paying for long-term care cost? It only pays for a limited number of days in the hospital. Not the hospital, skilled nursing facility after a hospitalization. So not independent living, not assisted living. This is when you're in a nursing home getting therapy, getting better, and it's not custodial care, okay? Clarity Financial Solutions is a holistic financial planning firm laser focused on the distribution side of financial services. Most of your working life, most likely, you've put your head down, gone to work every day, and saved for your retirement. Now you're reaching the time when you're going to be drawing off of those funds. And believe me, we know saving money and spending money evokes very different emotions. At Clarity Financial Solutions, our team has experience in Medicare planning, Social Security maximization, long-term care planning, tax-efficient Roth conversions, required minimum distribution strategies, retirement cash flow planning, legacy, and charitable giving. These topics stitch together, creating a beautiful tapestry that becomes your unique retirement. Allow us an opportunity to learn about your situation and offer you solutions which will bring clarity to topics touching retirement. This is a big misconception. Like I said, Medicaid, in order to be on Medicaid, you have to not only have a very low income, but you also have to have no resources. They have a look-back period. Medicaid has a look-back period. A lot of times people will think, well, you know what? I'll just move all my money in my daughter's name, or I'll move it out of my name and put it in XYZ. Well, you're disqualified from Medicaid if they being the IRS, see money moved out of your name and then you needing long-term care. So you have 5 years where you cannot have any trail of money being moved from one name to another. And it's a complicated process, but they do monitor it carefully. The other thing is Medicaid only allows care at certain facilities, and at facilities, some other facilities, only certain number of beds. So at times you might, if you are on Medicaid and you need care, long-term care at a facility, you may have to go to a different state. You may have to go to a facility not of your choosing, nowhere near close to your family. So very important to understand and know that you don't have control of where you're going to receive that care. So obviously, we have additional risks, strained healthcare costs because of so many aging baby boomers, and then paying for out of our own pocket. If we don't have a plan and we think Medicare and Medicaid is going to be a plan, then ultimately our dollar is our plan. Okay, so not a great solution. This we're going to talk more about next week, about long-term care not being a good deal, or rumors or things that people hear about long-term care options. It's unfortunate, but all insurance that sometimes gets bad raps. Well, anybody that's had a bad experience is going to discuss that bad experience. But guess what? There are so many people out there that are having awesome experiences, and they don't usually talk about it as much, right? So we are going to talk a little bit next week about the difference between, long-term care of the past, what's known as traditional long-term care, and then asset-based care, which is what most people do in today's planning. So I'm going to stop sharing this and just talk through kind of an overview about what we've just gone through. Medicare stops paying. And if you don't have long-term care, the remainder of your care is going to be paid for by you. AOY, all on you. And that is not an awesome solution. Okay, why? It is so expensive. Today, per hour in South Carolina, where I live, the zip code where I live, hourly care of an aide or even just a homemaker can be anywhere from $25 to $27 an hour. All right. So $25 an hour, let's just say. Most companies that provide care, they have a minimum, meaning you're going to have to use them for a certain number of hours per day, per visit, to make it worth the company's while to staff it. And even if you don't use it, you have to pay for it. It is very expensive. It can be very expensive. Long-term care solutions, long-term care planning is about earmarking specific accounts or a specific amount of money that is going to be used for some type of care in the home, like we said, or wherever you so choose. You can choose to self-fund, meaning you're just going to pay for it out of your IRA. So let's talk about that. Most people have a lot of tax-deferred money because most employers match people's investment or what they're contributing. And so they have a disproportionate amount of tax-deferred money. So let's say I'm going to have most of my monies in tax-deferred accounts and someone in my family needs long-term care. The market is going to go up and the market is going to go down. Okay, up and down, up and down. If someone needs care, am I going to wait till the market goes back up if it is in a correction to take a distribution to provide the care or provide the money needed to provide the care? No, I'm going to sell. And the only time we truly experience a gain or a loss when we have money in the market is when we place a trade and execute a trade and sell. So now I've locked in my gain or my loss. Now I'm going to pay tax, and then I'm left with whatever to pay for the care. So that's self-funding, or it could come out of a bank account or whatever, right? So, but it has definite, it impacts your portfolio and your legacy when you look at it like that. So let's just take a calculator out and let's just say, $25 an hour for, let's say, 3 hours a day. And I need that 4 times a week. So that's $300 a week, okay? Or $15,000. This is just 3 hours. 3 hours, okay? Let's say I needed $15,600 a year. Okay, that's not terrible. What if I needed 5 hours of care a day, every day? That's $875 a week, or $45,000 of care, in-home care. Okay, so that's hourly care, not skilled care, not nursing care. That just shows you that's kind of like a minimum base kind of need. If you go to assisted living, now we're talking about $6,000 to $8,000, and this is right now. a month, depending on where you go. Skilled nursing, $8,000 to $10,000. So $120,000 a year. You can easily see how this can get very expensive if I'm self-funding. Now, if we move to asset-based long-term care, we've earmarked a pool of money, but it is leveraged, meaning let's just give it one of the products that we have. Every dollar that I give a company turns into $3 if and when I qualify for long-term care, or I need assistance with 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, or have severe cognitive impairment. So let's just pretend like it's $100,000 that I'm going to self-fund. $100,000 in an account. I need to go get care now. So now I have to go to the market, place a trade, which means I experience a gain or a loss, then pay tax, then I'm left with whatever else. Or I can give an insurance company, $100,000. And if and when I need long-term care, it turns into $300 tax-free. So that's just one example of wonderful solutions that we have in the marketplace now for clients. So please tune in next week as we learn from Alecia Barnette on the long-term care landscape, on products that we have available, solutions, what she's hearing out there as she travels the country to educate on long-term care. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised. As an advisor, as a fiduciary, to not bring up long-term care when I'm talking about someone's retirement plan, I feel is irresponsible. So please know that this comes from a place of truly education. I want you to understand what's available to you out there and how to protect your family and how to protect your assets. So come back next week and tune in as we talk with Alecia Barnette, Senior Vice President at Financial Independence Group in the Care Planning Division. And I hope you will tune in. Listen, ask questions. Send us, we've gotten some awesome questions and some really good comments about individual specific things that they want us to continue to educate on. And I want to offer that to you. I want this to be a conversation where your questions are answered about topics that touch retirement. So join us next time, and we are thankful that you're here with Care Conversations with Clarity, where we seek to create a community of curious consumers who want to understand topics that touch retirement. Thank you. Join our Clarity Financial Solutions family, where through education and others' experience, we empower you to make retirement choices with confidence. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook, or head on over to our website and sign up for our newsletter. If you'd like to further engage with us, please don't hesitate. Just reach out, 864-987-8729. See you next time on Care Conversations with Clarity.